So this is a long flight for the Dolphins and for a team that's really banged up. I think they have 16 players on the injury report. So it's been kind of a tough season for Miami, and I think it continues on the road at the Rams. Let's talk about this total for a second. Looks like it's dipped down to 49. I do think we see a lot of points scored here just because both these teams can throw the ball. And a lot of this hinges on what we see from Tua. Does he continue to make progress? Do we continue to see this offense at least put up points? Because that has not been the problem in their last two losses. The problem has really been the defense. So I think obviously that plays itself to an over as well. But the question mark is, does the Rams defense continue to get better? They had some injuries on the defensive side of things at the start of the year. They've kind of shored up over the last few games. Do you have a feeling on a total here?
You know, the money keeps coming in on the under, Chelsa. It's moved down 1.5 points. But I don't like the under in this game just because I feel like with so many offensive weapons on the field, look, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to come through and that offense is going to come together. But when I see a Tyreek Hill, whether or not he plays will be a big factor if you like the over. And DeVon, Achane, and clearly Tua is an upgrade over Skylar Thompson when they were playing with him, or Tyler Huntley. And then on the other side, you've got a Puka Nacua. You have a Cooper Kupp. You have a Matthew Stafford. This many weapons on the field, I just don't really feel comfortable taking an under. I would actually lean to the over. But I will also say this, if you like the under, and I understand why, because Dolphins injuries could play a factor. These two defenses are pretty good. Like these are two defenses. They're in the top half of the NFL in points allowed. The Dolphins rank 12th. The Rams rank 16th. I think I would rather play a player prop as opposed to a total here.
Yeah, I think in no world am I looking at an under here just because we have so many explosive play possibilities. Like that's what you don't want when you play an under, because somebody can score in the blink of an eye. Like, is anybody going to be shocked if Cooper Kupp rips off a big run or a big catch and run? Is anybody going to be surprised if Puka Nacua does the same thing? Is anybody going to be surprised if Tyreek Hill goes for a 70-yard touchdown? No. So I'm not going to be sweating an under in this game, not with these two quarterbacks. So if you think a lot of points are to be scored, that's when you play props and you expect, individual players to have some big nights. From the Rams side of things, it's tough because usually you have to pick between receivers, whether it's Puka Nacua, whether it's Cooper Kupp. And that's a decision that I don't really want to make, even though you could say both of these guys, can feast, because we've seen this against the Dolphins. The Cardinals gave up two 100-yard receivers when they played the Cardinals. Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. both had over 100. So maybe that's the case with these Rams receivers. Or you can look at the Dolphins side of things. I know the BetQL 5-star best bet of the day is the receiving prop for DeVon Achane. I know that he's been good on the ground as well, so I think pick your poison there. I do think he's a big part of the game plan because that's what we've seen. And obviously everybody on the Dolphins offense looks a lot better now that Tua's back in the fold because the offense in general is better at moving the sticks. So maybe you can get some value there on the Dolphins offense because a lot of these numbers are skewed by those really terrible offensive games when Tua's not the starting quarterback.
No, I think that's a good point. And I am going to be on that DeVon Achane receiving prop. I just love the fact that he's hit this in every game in which Tua has been the quarterback. And I keep going back to that injury to Tyreek Hill. I don't know if he's going to go tonight. And even if he does, he has really had a disappointing season. If you look at his numbers, I mean, he was unstoppable last year, past couple of seasons, and has really disappointed this year. So if he doesn't go, that's going to mean more targets for Achane as well. I like that the BetQL model is on it, so I'm going to be on that. Is there another player prop, maybe a Puka Nacua prop? I know you've touched on that. Or something else in this game that you say, I don't really want to bet on a total here, but I do like this particular prop.
Well, if you think it's going to be a high total, I think maybe you look at touchdown scores. I think it's difficult for the Rams because they do have several options, whether it's Kyren Williams, who's going to run it in from like the 1, or you look at red zone targets. And that's where it feels like Cooper Kupp has the edge over Puka Nacua. And obviously, if you think it's going to be high scoring, like maybe we get several touchdown scores for the Rams. So looking at the prices for anytime touchdowns, Cooper Kupp plus 140, Puka Nacua plus 145. You could honestly play both. And if one of them hits, you're up at least a little bit of money since both of those are at plus money. Jenks, would you take either of those?
I'll take either one, Chelsa. I'm trusting your handicap here. Come on, you and me. Let's do it. Oh,
no.
Too slow. Too slow. I guess you're on your own here. No, listen, I trust you on prop bets more than pretty much anyone else because you're always on these things. When I go to a prop, I must really like it because it's generally not my speed. But I would take either one of those, especially if you believe in the game script sort of matching up with how your props are going to go, which I feel like you always do.
Well, I think it's tough for anytime touchdown bets, but I know people love same game parlays. So if you're looking for a touchdown bet, I think either of those are pretty good options. I know a lot of people are on Matt Stafford to throw over 1.5 touchdowns tonight. I think that's a solid one. Honestly, I think we see a lot of points scored.
DeVon Achane, over 45.5 receiving yards. This number has come up already from 42.5. I still like the play. He has hit this in every game in which Tua Tagovailoa has played this season. So 4 out of 8 games. But Tua's playing tonight. Also, look at the fact that Tyreek Hill is banged up. He has an injured wrist, didn't practice on Friday, may or may not go tonight. Regardless, if he doesn't go, then that's going to mean more targets for DeVon Achane. And even if he does go, will he be as effective? I like DeVon Achane in this spot, and I think he gets it done tonight. There's a reason why this number keeps going up, and it is a low total. Over 45.5 receiving yards for DeVon Achane.
Yeah, it's going to be a squad play. And I think a lot of it is because you get a good number on his receiving yards because we had that stretch where he had a different quarterback. But the calculus changes as soon as Tua is back at quarterback because we've seen the targets. That's what you want when you're playing receiving props. You want the opportunity to be there. You don't have to rely on a single big play. DeVon Achane has had at least 8 targets in each of the last 2 games. And if you think game script is going to play a role here, if you think the Rams are winning, back and forth affair, high total, we're going to see a lot of throwing of the football. So I'm going to be with you on DeVon Achane over 45.5 receiving yards. Squad play. The offense has looked much better since Tua has re-entered the chat as the starting quarterback, scoring 27 points in each of the last 2 games. But the wild part is they scored 27. They still lost both of those games. Obviously, that is an indictment on their defense. But even if you look at both these teams and say, okay, both these teams are pretty solid. They're trending in the right direction. What is the differentiating factor here? I think for me is if this is a close game and it comes down to the final 2 minutes of the game here, which quarterback and head coach do you trust more? Is it Tua and Mike McDaniel, who's 2-12 straight up as a road underdog? Or is it Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, who have won a Super Bowl? I think for me, the answer is pretty simple. So I'm going to trust the Rams at home here behind the better coach and the better quarterback. Let's go Rams on the money line, -135.